Welcome to the Woodward Shoutouts Deep Dive, where we dive deeper into the stories that shape our community at woodwardshoutouts.com. Today's deep dive is based on the article The Night Woodward Vanished: Chaos, Destruction, and Resilience in the Aftermath. We're going to travel back in time to that night when everything in Woodward changed, really a story of disappearance, devastation, and how a community found its strength.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are analyzing the account of the 1947 tornado. And it's more than just destruction, right? It fundamentally redefined the town.
Exactly. The sources really emphasized that this wasn't just, a weather event. It felt like a sudden, violent interruption of everyday life.
Yeah, a shock. And we're looking at how that sheer physical violence forced this immediate crisis of character for the whole town.
What's fascinating here, and the sources really push this, is the suddenness. That's key context for the chaos that follows. It wasn't just a storm brewing. It felt like a surprise attack happening with almost no warning. It demanded a level of improvisation, a response we just don't see much today. So let's set the scene for now. We're talking about the evening of April 9th, 1947.
Right.
And the source describes the sky over northwest Oklahoma looking strange, too calm, too quiet.
Yeah, that eerie calm. People knew the signs, the still wind, that heavy air. Classic Tornado Alley stuff.
But they weren't expecting annihilation. There was no sense this was coming.
And the crucial thing to grasp here for understanding the chaos is the total lack of warning. This is 1947.
Right. No modern tech.
No public weather radar, no coordinated storm warnings, certainly no widespread sirens. Tornado forecasting was, well, pretty basic. Still in its infancy.
And often viewed with skepticism, probably.
Definitely. So when that monster F5 tornado touches down near Canadian Texas, that's just after 8:40 p.m., it's already causing fatalities.
And it's chewing through the land as it crosses into Oklahoma.
Meanwhile, folks in Woodward, maybe 60 miles away, are just going about their evening, listening to the radio, putting kids to bed,
No breaking news alert, no text message, nothing telling them to take cover.
And that lack of information just made the impact feel instantaneous. The storm's tracking east-northeast, picking up speed, getting bigger.
Then, 8:55 p.m., it hits Woodward directly.
And for most people, the time between realizing something was wrong and their house collapsing around them was zero. Just nothing.
That contrast is stark. The quiet minutes before, maybe kids are asleep, and then this F5 fury.
Yeah.
Imagine the lights flicker out across Main Street. That quiet, weird feeling in the air instantly becomes, well, what the eyewitnesses called it, 100 freight trains crashing at once.
That sound. And it was the sound of just total obliteration. An F5 tornado, that's the top of the scale, winds over 200 miles per hour, easily.
That kind of power doesn't just damage things, it, erases them.
It really does. The article gives these incredible specific details about what that power did.
Huge trees snap like matchsticks, sturdy homes just ripped clean off their foundations.
We're not talking about just losing some shingles here.
No way. We're talking cars getting thrown blocks away like they're toys.
And it wasn't just houses. The path went right through the heart of the city, downtown.
The scale is hard to wrap your head around. Nearly 100 city blocks.
Gone. Reduced to rubble in minutes.
Brick buildings just crumbled. Power lines down, sparking fires everywhere, making it even worse.
Yeah, those secondary fires added to the chaos.
Yeah.
The movie theater, churches, often the strongest buildings in town, just leveled.
And the detail from the source that just floors me every time.
The train.
The train, it ripped a massive freight train right off its tracks.
That's the moment, isn't it? When you realize that nothing humans built mattered to this thing.
Exactly. And connecting that to the bigger picture, like you said, leveling 100 city blocks,
Mm-hmm.
that explains why it's still Oklahoma's deadliest tornado.
It really sought to just wipe out the physical town, which meant the response had to start from absolute zero, in the dark, with nothing.
So after that first deafening roar comes this chilling aftermath. The sources talk about this horrifying new soundscape replacing the wind. It was the moans of the injured, the crackle of fire, and the hurried steps of rescuers.
That quiet after the storm, broken only by sounds of suffering and desperation. That's when the scale of the crisis must have really hit home.
They were cut off, surrounded by total destruction, had to rely completely on themselves.
And you read these eyewitness accounts, families crawling from debris, neighbors just screaming names into the darkness, hoping for an answer, using any light they could find.
And because it was 1947, that rescue effort started with pure, desperate human effort.
That's right.
The source highlights this. People used their bare hands to dig through wood, concrete, whatever was left. searching for survivors.
No waiting for heavy machinery in those first hours. No coordinated government response yet. It was immediate. Neighbor helping neighbor, right there in the rubble.
And the human cost. For a town Woodward's size back then, it was just staggering.
Absolutely massive, proportionally. By morning, the full horror became clear.
Yeah.
At least 107 people confirmed dead.
And estimates of over 1,000 injured.
This wasn't some distant tragedy you read about. This was your neighbor, your friend's family.
Children orphaned instantly, families losing everything they own, plus loved ones. Pretty much everyone was directly hit or knew someone who was lost.
And that huge number of casualties just overwhelmed everything immediately.
The local hospital couldn't possibly cope. It was instantly overflowed.
Right, so they had to improvise. Churches became makeshift morgues, triage centers. Just dealing with the sheer scale of death and injury required outside help fast.
Which is where you start to see that incredible response.
Yeah, the solidarity. Military relief teams were rushed in. Supplies had to be dropped from planes because the roads were just impassable.
And crucially, volunteers pouring in from nearby towns.
That's a powerful point in the source material. It says for that week, there were no strangers, only neighbors helping neighbors.
Wow.
That immediate, selfless collaboration. That's really the bridge, isn't it? Between the chaos of that night and the resilience that came later.
So, the story of Woodward, it's not just about the night the town vanished under the storm. It's really about the days and weeks after, about the character that emerged from that devastation.
Exactly. They didn't just, accept the damage and rebuild structures. They rose from the wreckage. They proved their community spirit was actually the strongest thing they had left.
It really raises that question. What happens when chaos forces total, almost radical collaboration?
Right. And Woodward's recovery shows that the real foundation of a town isn't the bricks and mortar. It's that unbreakable bond forged in shared desperation and struggle.
That shared fight really defined their future identity.
It seems so. If you go to downtown Woodward today, it looks rebuilt, it's thriving, it's functional.
But that legacy is still there, deep down. The memories are passed on, grandparents to grandchildren.
The source puts it nicely.
Yeah.
The scars are hidden, but they're there in the concrete, in the soil, in the hearts.
You can feel that history.
And you see it remembered, actively. Every April, apparently, when the wind shifts a certain way, the sky gets that greenish tint.
Best.
Mm-hmm.
Older residents pause, they listen, they remember. It's like this quiet ritual.
Acknowledging how fragile life is, but also how strong they were together 77 years ago.
Yeah, it's like carrying that community spirit forward year after year.
So what does it all mean for us looking back? I think the disappearance, the chaos of that night, it really revealed where Woodward's true strength was.
Definitely not in the buildings.
No, it was in that deep-seated sense of community, that determination. The physical ruin basically forced them to rely only on each other.
And resilience wasn't just some nice idea. It was built, act by act, in those moments. People using bare hands, showing the little food or water they had, refusing to leave anyone behind.
That shared memory, that's what fuels their collective identity even now.
It really is.
The story kind of invites you to remember that facing absolute ruin, sometimes that's the ultimate test of spirit, and Woodward definitely passed.
They rebuilt more than just structures. They rebuilt and maybe even strengthened their sense of who they were together.
When a night erases what we know, what remains is not just what's rebuilt, it's who we become.
Thank you for listening to the Woodward Shoutouts Deep Dive. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more stories that bring Woodward's past and present together, make sure you subscribe at woodwardshoutouts.com. You'll receive our weekly newsletter filled with local history, community features, and the stories that matter to our hometown.